Hi, it's Mary Beth Shaw. You can see my gel plate here and stencils, and you know what's coming next. We're gonna play with some paint, and we're gonna make some background papers and all sorts of fun stuff. I've got ideas. Nice to see you. Lots of times what I do when I am using my plate here is I will just start out by putting a light color down and picking up some color just for the background. Like I don't even use any stencils or anything necessarily. And you might be thinking, well, what do you do with all the stuff you make? Well, I am going to show you some of my ideas today for stuff I do and some of the ways I use papers, okay? Because I just thought it might be fun and you might get to get a different perspective. So this is just white paper like you would use for your, your printer or whatever. Doesn't even matter. This is black paper, same deal. You just use it, it's a text weight paper. So often I'll just start like that and I'll just put a bunch of papers down just to get some paint on them. And then when they come up, they look just very random, but I like that. And then it gives me something to keep going with. I especially like it on that black. Look at that, that's almost done, right? I'm done, I'm out of here. That one is the one where it got a little wonky, but see, it's all good because when you're making these papers, it is definitely all good. So I am gonna do this kind of tribal slash mark making slash, I don't know what you want to call it. So this is Stencil L609, an oldie and a goodie. It's a very tribal looking stencil that I like. This is one of Andrew's right here. I can't remember the number on it. And then this one, I think I can fit this around the bottom. And then we'll have some random marks in there. Okay. All right, so I am gonna totally mix it up with what I use today. I'm gonna use inexpensive paints, I'm gonna use more expensive paints, I'm gonna use fluids, I'm gonna use heavier bodies, just a little bit of everything because I want you to see how they all work together. And this is just exactly how I work in real life because I thought, you know what, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just show you how I work in real life because if I'm having a day when I'm playing with paint, this is what I do. I just randomly put stuff down. Half the time I'm not even thinking. I am very randomly putting stuff down. You can just do whatever it is that inspires you because right now what we're working on is background color and there's just not an official way to make background color. So as you can see, right? As you can see. So now this, some of these you can see the color is on top of the stencil, so we're gonna get a different look. So you pull this up and you already have a little tribalness going on, right? I love it when I get the edges of the stencils on the plate. I think that's one of the best things about having these larger size plates. And right now I am pulling from on top of the stencil and underneath the stencil. And I like those results very much. It's something that you couldn't necessarily predict, which is why I like it. And it gets lighter as you go on. Now you pull underneath, you pull this up, and look at that little zigzag there. I love that. I just want to pause for a moment, and you can see these four are all going in very different directions. I like this. This is exactly what I like to create, is things that like they go together because the patterns are similar, but they don't necessarily go together, right? And I got a bunch of deli over here. I don't know what I thought I was gonna do with that. I have extra paint there, so I'm just gonna slop it on the middle of the plate there. Yeah, that's better. I'm gonna grab the big boy, the quinacridone nickel azo gold. You know how we all love this color, right? And it can create such a lovely effect in everything you do. It kind of glows, and I like that very much. So I am being extremely random on purpose. I'm being on purpose random because I want some solid color components in the background. I don't want this to be all heavily patterned. I want these patches to come up that are solid color. For me, that's what makes the papers interesting. I don't want them to look like something that you could have bought at a store. Now that one looks a little too unpredictable, so I'm gonna see if I can, you know, take that out for a second and smooth it. So let's move this guy and get this one on. Oh yeah, look at that. Liking it, liking it. I got this little guy up here. I don't even know if I have a place to put that little guy. I don't know what I was thinking. Typically, I don't move to smaller stencils until later on in my process, but you know what? That's not bad. Not bad at all. Okay, so I like how these are coming along already. And let's go and grab some more colors. This is a yellow ochre. This is also a fluid acrylic by Golden. I think mixing the colors up like this and using some professional and some more craft grade paints is often a good way to go. I'm gonna grab some solid patches on here just because if I'm painting, I don't typically leave a lot of whites. That's not, I mean, if I need whites in my work, I find that there are other ways to put whites in my work. But when I'm painting papers, that's not necessarily one of the times I'm worried about whites. Not to say I don't use whites, but it's just not a time I'm worried about them. I'm wearing my Ephemera Paducah t-shirt today, Kristen. So it's open. Prussian blue and quinacridone gold mixed together make a really pretty color. If you've never done it, they make a really pretty color green. This is one of mine. This is Make Marks, I think, or something like that. I just love it. And this is a Cathy Taylor. Oh, I just dropped it. Okay, ding dong. This is a Cathy Taylor, the Klimt trees, which I love so much. We're going to take it into another color zone here and get some different colors on top. See how these are reading very much mark making when you use them randomly like that? When I was selecting the stencils to use for this section that I'm doing on this mark making, I was looking for actually how the marks were going to come out. I wasn't looking at what it was specifically regarding the shape. I wasn't looking at the fact that it was a tree. I was looking at the fact that it would make some marks that I found interesting and would go with these other marks well. I was looking for different width and line, that sort of thing. And so when I choose stencils to go together, I'm almost looking at them in a very abstract way, not so much as, oh, that's a flower, or that's a, you know, square, or this or that. I really am looking at them as shapes and as lines. And it makes a big difference if you can get your eye to go that way. Now see how interesting this is getting when you add the dark and you've got those underneath parts peeking through? I'm liking this already. Yeah. I'm in my happy place. For at the moment. Let's put this down. I like very much having two of the little gel plates, having a smaller one to use as my palette and the bigger one. Now that's a lot going on there, a lot of darkness. We'll see, we'll see. Could be too much, right? But look at how it kind of beaded up on the jelly plate. I think that's interesting. Now, one thing I will do, if I get too dark like that, is I'll add some white in, and this is a time when I would go back and get some white. I'll add it in. Let's put some of these, some more of these zigzags, or I guess they're called chevrons more so than zigzags. Let's put them right there. And I'm going to put some over the top too. I do like getting that effect over the top, and then also picking up the stencil and putting it, getting it from the bottom, from underneath the stencil also. See how that knocks that back? So it's an issue of contrast. You had something very dark, so you add something lighter to it, and that immediately changes it. And I try not to get too invested in the outcome, because these are papers, right? This is just paper. Look at that. Now, is that too white? Probably. But am I going to go back in and make that more interesting later? Absolutely. You know I am. And see that big white swatch right there? That's going to be more interesting later on as well. So, and these little partial marks. We'll go for some solid. See, look how that solid knocks down that corner and adds a little bit of that teal kind of color into that. Now what I'm going to do here in a minute is go back and revisit some of the other colors again, because we've got them in the background, and look how pretty that is on that black. We've got them in the background, so what we need to do is pop them back into the foreground again. So I am going to get some different stencils. I'm going to go into, to organize these a bit, I'm going to look at, what do you think? Grids, 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 grids. Now, this is the time when I'm going to move the plate, if I've got anywhere to go. I shall bring it back in a minute, so don't worry. And I am going to just start going direct to paper, all right? So I'm starting with this one because it's here. And this is when I'm going to grab my smudgy or some other sponges, and I'm going to just start stenciling directly on the paper, and just use colors I like, and try to turn this into something that looks a little bit better. Now I'm going to grab some nickel azo. That midnight is one of, I think it's a Seth Apter, I don't know, it's a paper artsy, and it's a great color. It really plays well with golden. It reminds me a lot of the Prussian blue. So see, already this is coming together a little bit, at least to my eye. Okay, so I think that this is probably good to go. I think I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, I could take it in a bunch of directions, but I know that it has components that I would certainly use in collage. Let's take a different one and go in a different direction with it. So here's one of the other ones. Now this one, to me, wants to be pink. Isn't that funny? This one wants to be pink, so we're gonna let it be pink. And I'm also gonna use some of that yellow and some of the nickel azo on it too. So, all right, so let's take this stencil of Jamie's again. Another very tight stencil. Look how I can just brush right over that, which I love, right? And look how it transformed that corner. I mean, that's really pretty. Did you notice how I turn it around? I work the away, then I turn it around, I'll work the away again. Why? God only knows. You know how you just get into habits, and that's one of the ones I've noticed about myself. Although right now, I think I'm gonna go across the middle of the grid. Now, did you see what I did? I went between two squares. Two sets of squares, and so I just got partials, but I was going for the linear component because I really like that. I just think it's cool looking. I'll do it again up here. I'll just go up one line. I mean, you might think it's just a grid, but look at the interest that you can get. You can make lines that lead the eye around, and I don't know, this is why I think stencils are so versatile. I'm just always thinking of new ways to use them. And I mean, granted, I use them quite a bit, but maybe more than the average bear, but I love that. And so then down here, I can grab the smaller one and pull another actual grid into that. See? Now, you notice on this curvy one, this one of Jamie's, you've got this section up here of these little squares. Well, what would happen if we took some white and added just a little bit of white? See how nice that is? Now it's kind of popping out, so I'm going to just blend it out from the sides so it's a little bit more mysterious. Okay, and then I'm going to go back with some pink up here in this corner. So layer on layer on layer, that's what we're going for. Now this one, I don't know, I think it looks pretty good. I could do more to it, but I'm actually rather liking it. I might like a little bit more white parts in there to pop it up a little bit. Oh, and you know what that means? I know what it means. It means repetition. All right, I think this one looks pretty good. So far we had those starts and we've created two completely different types of pages, basically with the same stencils and with similar color palettes. We started these out the same, and then they both went in different directions. And this is what I really like for people to see, is how this can happen. I'm going to just grab something from behind here real quick. You know, I was talking about starting some backgrounds, but I think I've got some parts here that are actually would be really pretty if you went in. And do you guys keep this sort of thing in your studio? But you can look and find these little magic parts. This could be a greeting card. Don't dismiss these pages. I mean, look how dirty I get these as I play around. And I look for little vignettes. And really helps me to decide where to go next with the work. The other thing, when you come up with stuff like this, like let's say you make a couple pages like this that you like, photograph them. High quality photograph. Because who knows when you might want to print this out. Print it on tissue, print it on just copy paper, whatever. But don't forget to photograph your work. Because that way, like let's say you get some wild hair 2 weeks from now and you decide that you're going to paint over this. Well, guess what? It's okay. You've got a photograph of where it was here. So don't forget to do that. I think it's very helpful. All right.